It's your brother Chief Infame from the nation. Just gonna start out today with our greeting: power to the people, power to our people, respect our people. We're gonna go over some stuff. I don't know if I'm gonna make this video live yet or not because I'm probably gonna release some trade secrets that the FCC, which is the Federal Trade Commission, is not too happy about people knowing or either telling you about unless they actually have a Series 7's trade license, and I am no longer employed with any stock brokerage or company that would hold, house, or nor have I ever had a Series 7's license. So, legally, I have to start by this is not investment advice. This is just me giving an investment opinion and showing ways that I have personally used the stock market, bonds, leverage, trade, credit to actually obtain wealth, income, money, and property. So, now that that disclaimer is out of the way, this is pretty much the things that they don't want you to know about the stock market. And the reason why these things are important is because the stock market trades, housing, bond purchases, mutual funds, and things like that are pretty much the easiest thing for us to actually generate funds, money, or ways for us to get income without having to leverage. Some people say it's using your money to make more money, buying purchase or leverage purchasing, and things of that nature. So this is the investment company that we have right here, which is Session Investment Incorporated. Session Investment Incorporated is a company that we started last year with the government of Belize. The Prime Minister of Belize actually helped us set this company up. It's an actual international traded company. We have 7,000 legal shares of sellable stock and trade on the open market. But this platform is not for the purchasing of the shares of the company. This is for people to be venture capitalists in purchasing as a group, which is called legally an investment club, or a hedge fund once it gets to a certain amount, which is like $1 billion or half of $1 billion, you can start a hedge fund. But it's an investment club. The purpose of the investment is basically to give you guys the option of pulling small amounts of money in teams of 50 to 100 to start purchasing stocks, bonds, mutual funds, real estate, leverage equity, buy commodities like gold, oil, silver, things like that. And what the returns do is it allows you to purchase these things with zero to little money down. And when I say zero money down, let's say your credit score was 800. Well, you may be in a group of people whose credit score is 800 but don't have any money, where there's a group on the other side that has money but horrible credit. Those people are then venturing to leverage your credit for more money. For instance, if I had $2,000 tax season or just had it, and I gave it to somebody that had an $800 credit score for 20 to 30%, or even double. Let's say it's double. So I'm going to give them $2,000 to get back $4,000. They may have a business plan or an idea or concept that they're investing in, like let's say Session Investment. Once they invest in Session Investment, what happens would be they're going to buy $2,000 worth of stock, and Session Investment is going to do its normal days of business for the next 6 months to a year, let's say. So they lent you the money for 2 months to a year, okay? They make $10,000. They pay back the investors their percentages, what they bought in, and the person that leveraged the money got $6,000 back. So he paid you your $4,000 and he made $6,000. That's what venture capital is. And that's becoming very important because venture capital is basically how you can literally never do anything but pay for something and wait to get a return. A quick way to think of venture capital is if you bought a car on the side of the road but you knew a mechanic, right? You bought a broke down car and fixed it. You bought the car for $500, paid the mechanic $500, parts cost $500, you spent $1,500, and then you sold the car for $4,000. So you made a $3,000 profit. You literally venture capitalized on the mechanic's ability to fix this car. Not your own, not the money that you had to spend. He fixed it, put it on the side of the road, and sold it. And that's kind of the idea of venture capital. But the difference is let's say instead of you putting out $1,500, 15 of your friends only put in $100, and you guys all paid for the car, the mechanic, and the parts. Well, now you guys can collectively spit the $3,000 amongst 15 people as opposed to one person having to have the larger sum of money. And that's just a smaller number, so you guys can grasp the concept of having a small amount of money to do a larger amount of trade. And we're talking about the buy-in for the investment club is real simple. And we'll go over this right now. So on the screen, you can see where it says Session Investment Incorporated, your table of contents, the requirements, the investment outline, company outline, payout, profit, and loss potential. Okay? So the client requirements are very simple. Each client is required to have a few basic things to qualify. Employment, yes, you have to have a job. And the reason why you have to have a job is if you can't have a job, you have to at least show 24 months of tax returns for a business. Because let's say we make $10,000 next week and I have to pay 10 people $10,000. The government is going to want to know where that money came from so that they know it didn't get by ill-gotten means. And they're going to need to know that you have a job, you qualify, you have the money, or you can prove that you gained the money from a gift or a place. And if anybody has any questionable questions about if they have money that they don't have a trace for or a back on, let me know and I can show you how you guys can either get gifting receipts, you can leverage some of the certain things that you have, and there's actual options out there. The second thing is, let's say we were leveraging credit. And this is the big thing that everybody's tuning in for. Leveraging credit means I will pay $100 to $500 down and get a $1,500 to a $2,000 loan. Well, the bank is going to qualify you by your job and your credit score. Now, if it's a small enough amount, the bank is really only going to care about a decent credit score, 500 to 600, and a job. And that's really what they back it by. So now we have B, which is $200 to $1,250 in unused income a month, minimum in savings. This is disposable income. I'm going to repeat this so you guys can understand. A requirement to be in the group is to have $200 to $1,250 in unused monthly income in your savings as disposable income. This is important. Disposable, I'll stand over here. Disposable income is very simple. It's the income that you have after paying all your bills, paying all your expenses, and it's money that you never have to use in a month. A lot of us don't have a lot of disposable income, but if you cut out simple luxuries like cigarettes, chips, and little other things, you probably have about $100 to $300 in disposable income if you take something off the table. That's what disposable income. Now, a lot of people are going to ask, what's this for? Well, let's say I put you in an investment group and we want to start buying real estate. So we need to just come up with the money down to leverage the property so we can sell it at a later date, time, or to somebody in the group. Once that happens, we then have to be responsible as the group for the monthly investment, which may be $1,000 or $2,000. So that's where that money comes into play. It also comes into play because you're in an investment club. Every month we want to buy a new investment that has nothing to do either with the old investment or it's a trade around investment, which means it's something that you can buy, leverage, and have for a longer period of time. Let's say 6 months. We all went and bought Nike because the new Jordans are coming out in 5 months. Why is that important? When new Jordans come out, Nike stock goes up $5 to $10 to $20 to $60. Now we know that, so we bought it 5 months before the Yeezys are released, or the Air Jordan 27s or whatever number they're on are released. And now we know in 6 months we're holding this stock to sell it at $60 a profit. Now, it's really simple. If you buy one stock and your profit is $60, you just made $60. If you own 1,000 shares of that stock and you made $60, that's $60,000. Every stock, share, or number of stocks that you have is reflected on how much profit you have. So, when I said make $500 to $1,000 a week or a month, it's really simple. If you find one stock that you can afford to buy 500 to 1,000 shares with 50 to 100 people that have $200 to $1,250 a month, then you can go buy, let's say, 500 shares of Coca-Cola, Best Buy, or Apple, or whatever over the period of a month to a year. that stock only has to go up $1, which happens all day. It's called swinging. Stocks go down and up when people buy and sell them, and they go anywhere from $1 to $50 or $1 to $70. When this happens, and if you guys don't believe me, if you have an iPhone and you go to the stock list on your iPhone and click on any stock, it'll show you the daily high and the low high, or the day. It goes day, week, and 52 week, and you can literally see where it went high today and where it went low. Well, to get to a high and low, it had to go swinging or back and forth, right? So now we have C. We do have a credit application for investments that are going to require credit, like purchasing houses, purchasing equity, land in other countries, which I actually have an option to do in Belize, and purchasing just general investments, okay? Each investor must own or hold an equitable trade, such as a car, a home, a stock, or land. However, if a non-tradable equity is available, this will not terminate your application. This is really simple. If you own your car, or land, or your house, or something that has equity, your $500 instantly becomes $500 plus whatever the value of your equity is to the bank. Now, if you don't have one of these things, it doesn't stop you because you have what's called cash equity. Your equity is literally your credit score and how much cash you have on hand. Now, you have less equity if you have a 600 credit score than if you have an 800 credit score, but that doesn't matter if there's 50 to 100 of you, because 50 people putting in $100 is a large sum of money, with all of you collectively still having $200 to $1,250 a month in disposable income, because that means you can make a payment on, let's say, a $500,000 loan. That means with 50 of you, I could literally raise, maybe tomorrow or the next week after, I could probably raise $500,000 with just 50 of you with only $100. And that's a real story. You don't have to check it. You don't have to believe it. All you have to do is research it. You can call any stock or bank and ask them what would it cost down with a decent credit score to get a loan for a business for $500,000. And they'll tell you. They'll say $150,000 to $50,000. Well, if there's 50 of us paying this monthly, we may not be able to get it this week, but we could get it next month or the month after, because we would have those funds. So, now D, each investor must own or hold an equitable trade. We've already went over that. So we'll go to E. The applicant must have an application fee at the time of the application's acceptance. The application fee is $500, which is the buy-in. It's $500 to buy into the club, or $2,500. And that's because we have two groups. We have the starters group, and then we have the buyers group. The buyers group are people that want to do things like start purchasing Detroit. They want to start buying large sums of equity or shares, or they're the people that are going to come up in tax season that instead of wanting to make like a $50 to a $500 return, they want to make $1,000 to a $3,000 return. Very simple, very basic, okay? Everybody's fee is set at $500 or $2,500. That's it. There's no if, ands, can we pay later, can we pay now? Everybody to get in the buyers club and the investment club pays the buy-in fee. Okay, the buy-in fee is also one time. You don't have to pay it over and over. You don't have to pay it every month. But it also lets us know that you're seriously capable of buying in and making the monthly payment when you get into trades of like real estate, commercial buys, and stuff of that nature, okay? So, each participating applicant will be required to pay a monthly participation fee, which is the same thing that we talked about up there. It goes from $100 to $200 to $250 to $550, all the way up to $1,250 for the higher groups. The $1,250 really only happens if you're in the 2,500 group, because we're talking about buying high bond equity, like $1 million homes, $2 million homes in Atlanta that we're trying to resell for $5 or $10 million. Now let's go down here. The next thing is a contract return are based on quarterly returns. Payments are received as a wire transfer from an agreed upon source. Basically what this means is we do contract returns. This is the most important thing to know about investing. This is the one single thing that the FCC will literally tell you you can't tell people, because it's true. If somebody writes you a contract for a return and says, I'm guaranteeing to pay you X, in our case, it's 10 to 20%, which your contract, whenever you get it, will state you're going to get a 10% minimum return. That means that we, as the group, are personally backing a certain number of participants to buy out. Let's say you need your money back because a tornado hit your house or a disaster struck. Well, the group is going to increase their payment by whatever the number is and buy out your contract plus 10 to 20% and then spread your profit higher to the group. So now instead of everybody getting 10%, they may get 11%, whatever. This becomes important though because this means that contractually you can go to court and be like, I'm owed X amount of dollars. Doesn't matter if I pay you, doesn't matter if I don't pay you, my car, my house, my job, my income from my next job, if I ever start a job, becomes taxable or a stipend that you can charge for. So this is literally what keeps you from being scammed, or what keeps you from getting gypped, or what keeps you, when you're dealing with white stock investors, from knowing if they're credible or not as banking sources. So when the banks were fucking everybody over for their houses, they weren't doing any contract returns. They were doing pay as return. What that means is you're only going to get money if a return comes in. That is a traditional loan, and we do those as well, but we do have contract returns. So if we're buying commodities or stocks or trades, those are pay on return. So you're only going to get a return if we make a profit. If we're doing housing or investing in a company, we do guaranteed returns because the owner of that company has to guarantee to pay us back a certain amount of money. And they've already either secured it with equity, credit, land, or sold us the business, which then we all own. So that's that. Moving on. We have at any time, an income verification may happen on behalf of the collecting party. The applicant must keep all income used for application, qualification, and current and active during the contract time. This means if you have a job and you work somewhere, at any time we might be working with a bank, a creditor, a lender, a third party, a private investor, a billionaire, and he's going to want to see your name, your credit score, your contract information, and he might want to verify your income. So if you lose your job, you quit your job, you go to a new job, you have to update us, because at any time one of the 50 people loses a job or doesn't update us so that we can put something on file, that could literally kill a whole deal for us. Now, we digitally check this every month and make sure everybody hasn't done this or hasn't fallen off of it, but it's really not my responsibility to call you and ask you if you lost your job. If you did, just be man or woman enough to say, hey, I lost my job, what needs to happen? Obviously, I'm just going to give you a job so you can stay employed. But we need to know that you need a job to keep you employed on file. These are also things that they don't want you to know when you're talking about buying houses, leveraging credit, using credit to advance credit, because if you have a credit application in and you lose a job, you instantly disqualified. However, if you have a credit application in and you start a business, even if you don't make any money, you're still qualified at least for 12 to 24 months, because you can't file a tax return if you started a business this year. That's a trade secret they don't want you to know. So, each applicant may be put into a separate investment group different from the applied group because of overage and size, and they may be required to pay an additional processing fee to start the new LLC documentation for the investment group. This means you may have a friend that's in an investment group, and they may hey, we're making money in this group, we're making $1,000 a week, we're making $1,000 a month, we're making $1,000 a day, whatever. You may definitely want to be in that group, but that group is full. Now, that group may have had one spot and you paid the fee to get into that group, but the group is so full that we literally just need to start a new group. Now, each group is a licensed LLC business. We literally start you guys a business, have contracts, have terms, put in how much you're going to get, what you're getting, and literally start you guys a business. To start a business, it costs $300 to $1,500 depending on where you are in the country. If there's a fee to start the business, you're going to be required as a group to put in whatever it is. So if it's $300 and there's 50 of you, it'd be like $2, $3, $20, $30 or whatever. So Those are the additional fees. Your buy-in, however, is set. You don't have to buy in again. You just have to cover whatever business, LLC, or filing fees it is to get your new license or your new group set up. All requirements can be explained in detail in any meeting. And we actually have investor meetings that have about 40 to 50, sometimes 70 people in Memphis. So if you guys ever want to come to an investment meeting, or you guys actually want to sit down in the groups that we have in Memphis, inbox me and I'll let you know when the next one is, or we can set one up specifically for your group if enough people are going to guarantee to come. Or we can just do a live feed and a live stream where you guys can all tune in as a group on like a Google chat or a Facebook Live, private, not public on my Facebook, obviously. And we can set those meetings up and you guys can individually ask any questions. And you guys can ask any questions in the chat right now. And if we can see them, we'll answer them the best we can. All right, so the investment outline. Sessions Investment Incorporated is set up as a venture capital contracts with returns paid back in small quarterly installments. Now, the quarter for whatever you're installing is going to be on your contract. So by quarterly, it could be monthly, bi-monthly, or it could be weekly, bi-weekly, or it could be literally a quarter towards the year. So you might only get a payment once every 3 months, but it would still be whatever we contractually agreed upon. So if it's $1,000 a month, in 3 months, you're going to get a check for $3,000, whatever. Okay? Along with this, Session also agrees for contracts that return for-profit investments through providing seed capital and angel investment contracts. That's literally just what I was been saying. We have two options to make money. Get people that have businesses that want to buy or start these businesses, as well as people that want to buy into angel investing products. So buy back the block would be an angel investment product because you really don't know if the block's going to make any money if you don't ever sell the house. But they need seed capital. So we buy and grant into projects like that. The group manages investments by creating investment clubs and groups. We also highlight return projects by showcasing stocks, bonds, bank loans, funds, and granting projects. This is another trade secret that we're going to give. Once you have money, and you are lending money, or you're buying money, or you're investing, bankers, stockholders, stockbrokers, hedge fund managers, funds managers, bonds, and equitable managers are all commission-based sales reps. Once they know that you have a fund or a group and your group is doing certain things, they will literally call you and say, hey, China wants to sell 50 pounds of gold. Can you afford to buy it? Yes. How much? And they'll literally tell you what the price is. And at that time, because you didn't ask for that deal, you might be able to do this. So one of my friends, he actually purchased oil on wholesale from a family in Dubai. Well, oil at the time was at $53 a gallon. He got it for $9 a gallon. So we're talking about pure crud oil before you process it, liquidate it, and everything. So he pretty much made $40 almost a barrel in just getting that deal done because somebody offered it to him in an investment meeting. Now, as a group, you have to determine what investments make sense. Do we want to buy barrels of oil? Do we want to buy gold? Do we want to buy houses in the hood? Do we want to buy stores in their neighborhoods or houses in their neighborhoods? Do we want to invest in simple projects? Anything. And your group will have this all on contract. You all have an outline for what we want to do, but because it's an investment group, majority rules. You guys are going to literally sit down and cast a vote. So if we have two things on the table, we want to buy some diamonds or we want to buy oil, you guys make a vote. Whoever has the highest number wins. So it's a majority rules. Each design is on contract set by the requirements. The purpose to get the large groups to invest small sums of money for large investment potential and power. After the group's terms are met, the goal is to receive no less than 10% return. So that means if you put in $100, your return is going to be $10 a month for 10 to 12 to 11 months. Now, that means at the end of those 10, 12, or 11 months, you're going to have $112 or $120. If you have 120, that's obviously 20%. If you have 110, that's 10%. But we guarantee to never have less than a 10% return because we do contract agreement. So I can say I'm going to guarantee to give you a certain amount of money because I'm going to back the certain amount of money. Now, how do you back money? Very simple. When you're getting a large sum of money, banks will lend you more money for nothing, just for having a business license, an idea that you may never do, and starting a business. That's all you have to want to do, and the credit behind it. So when you have 5 or 10 minutes or 5 or 10 members, like I was explaining, that have an 800 credit score, and you have 5 or 10 members that have $1,000 a piece, well, you can take one and make $20 million, because this group has 10 members in it. They can leverage with that $10,000, $100,000 if they can leverage it times 10. Even if they can only leverage it times 5, they have $50,000. Well, this group over here may be buying or selling properties that are worth $150 with the $50,000 down deposit. You can buy a house with that money and sell it to another member in the group that needs a house. This becomes beneficial. Why? Well, if I need a house and I have a job, plus I work with the investment group, I now make my house payment to the investment company, not to a mortgage bank or lender. You're literally paying the investment group to cover your mortgage. Well, now that fund money comes back in, plus what happened with the house we just sold you that we bought for $50,000 but was worth $150,000. The group that originally made $50,000 just paid back the $50,000 loan plus made $100,000 cash. And you're still paying back the $100,000 cash that we loaned you to buy the house in the original sale. So when these things start happening, you have two groups that can meet in two different things, which is why you have to have groups of 100 or 50. Those groups can work together, they can work in tandem, they can work separate, they could buy totally different, never touching each other things. Like this group could buy diamonds, this group can want to buy gold, this group can want to invest in oil, this group can buy cops and coffee, this group can buy houses. None of them have to be together. These are the trade secrets that they don't tell you when you see these investment groups or these movies about stocks and you see the people on the floor. That's literally all those people are. They represent one person with money that works for somebody else with money, and they leverage and or trade stocks, bonds, or markets. Now, if I have a stock that's worth $10, but I only paid $2 for it, and you know me, and I'm like, hey, buy it for 10 because it's really worth 20. It's not a bad deal. It's just business. And this is what they're not telling you about making money. You literally every day could spend 10, 20, 30, 40 bucks and put it in a mason jar, and at the end of the month, put it into this investment group, and that mason jar may make you $50,000 or $100,000 in 4 to 5 years. Now, with money that you put in a mason jar, that's a lot better investment than investing or selling into crap like fast food, junk food, general stuff that you just waste the money on anyway. Instead of buying Jordans, you really should be investing that $200 into Nike, because I just showed you you can literally buy a couple shares and make enough profit off the shares to buy 5 Nikes or 20 Nikes or buy more shares. So let's go to the rest. Basically, I just covered all this stuff. So let's go over the company outline real fast. Session Investment Incorporated is an investment management company that structures investment groups and venture capital deals. We do business as basically Session LLC. The difference in Session versus an investment or versus a traditional investment group is the method of ROI, and that's return and profit. The management of the investment into a fund program or investment funds allows us to structure contracts, schedule payments, do returns, as well as holding contracts with equity ventures. Now, that's a long, drawn-out way of saying the difference between us and the white guy at the bank is the white guy at the bank is going to take your money, throw it against the wall, and see if it sticks. If you ever heard that phrase. The difference between us is we're going to put it in a safe. We're going to walk it safely to the bank and then ask the bank if they'll give us more money. If they'll give us more money, we use that more money to purchase things for the group. We literally can put these groups together and purchase each other's homes, because I just showed you if your home has equitable value or it has equity in itself, you can actually make money with the equity in your home, just bringing it into the group, buying, purchasing, or selling. So when you guys are doing these things or thinking about investing or have any questions about equitable trades or anything like that, I used this very same method in 2008 to leverage my way into owning and having on contract 72 homes that were all averaging $50,000 to $250,000 in value. You want to know how much money I was worth? Do the math. 50,000 times 72 is a minimum value that I was worth. Okay? Now, the reason why they don't tell you these things is because imagine if every time you saw 50 black people, they started an investment club working at McDonald's. Just working at McDonald's. Nowhere else. And they took $50 to $100 out their check once a month and they put it towards buying houses in their neighborhood. Well, 50 of them eventually in 50 months, or even if it took 10 houses a year, in 5 to 10 years, they would all, half of them own properties or have houses or be able to rent those houses that they purchased to buy new houses or more houses. Well, you would never be poor again, wouldn't you? Now, why do you have to have an SEC license to even educate somebody on something like this? Because this is simple consultation. Because unless you're personally going to do it, guess what your risk is? You can lose money. Well, I could lose money going to the corner store. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't be able to tell me a simple, fast, and educated way to actually tell somebody how to make money. So what we try to accomplish is giving people the option to do these things, sell these services, sell these products, sell these company ideas to a group that is going to fund these ideas. Now, when you guys think of a traditional investment company, they're not going to offer you these contract returns because they don't care about your money. They don't care if you make any money. They don't care if you lose any money. But they also don't care about your general interest. And that's real hard for people to hear, but it's true. The guy that works at the bank only wants to cash his commission check, drive his Ferrari, and he makes 1 to 3% on whatever he makes you. So he does have an interest in making you money, but if he doesn't, he also has 50,000 more clients that he can call over the phone that he's never met and say, hey, Jim, can I get $5,000 to buy this stock? No, all right. Hey, Darren, can I get $5,000? No, okay. Hey, Jack, and they can literally work for months. And you don't believe me? Watch the movie with Will Smith, The Pursuit of Happiness. What did he do all day? He literally was poor, dead broke poor, and made that company millions of dollars over the phone, going out to places, shaking hands and saying, hey, can I help you buy this? Or do you want to buy this? That's what he was doing. Very simple, very basic, real easy. So I'm going to look and see if we have any comments or questions. I'm going to look and see hold on one second. Have any comments. All right. All right, here we go. Let's check out some of these. Respect to everybody that came in the room and said greetings, how you doing, or thank you. Had my brother being the cameraman for me. I wanted you guys more so to see the presentation that we were doing. All right. All right. Well, most people actually don't have any comments or any questions. All right, here we go. What if your credit is the mid to high 600s? Well, this isn't a credit-based process. It's also not credit-based sales. But with the credit, that just means you might be in a different group. So you may not be in the 720 to 800 group. You may be in the 430 to 600 group. And the reason why these things are important is because each one of these groups may have a different buying platform. And all I mean by buying platform is the bank that we're dealing with may accept your credit when the bank that we send the 720 to the 800 group to may not. So that bank may give those groups $10,000 to leverage. This group may only get $5,000 or $6,000 a member to leverage. So it doesn't matter on your credit. It more so matters if you can actually just afford the $500 buy-in or the $250 to $1,250 a month. And the ranges are in between there. If you can afford that, I can make you anywhere from 20% on everything that you invest in. So if you invest $1,000 over a period of time and you do that a month, you would make $200 a month. Now, with long-term investments, where they're investments that we're buying to make more money in a month or two, you will average $500 to $1,000 a month, because that investment in the next 3 months will make $4,000 or $5,000. Very simple, very basic. Thank you. That was actually a great question. I appreciate you. Now, this does, as a group, it will create jobs once we start doing more and more. This is actually what I did for a living, and I stopped doing this for a living because I made so much money in 2009 that I actually retired, and I was relatively young, and I haven't worked since then. I literally lived off all the money I made in 2009 to 2017. So if anybody wants to challenge me or ask me how much money they make, I can just show you a tax return and show you that I haven't worked at all. And I have 2 homes, 2 cars, a business. I've started 8 businesses. And since then, I've started well over 18 to 20 businesses, or consult right now for 48 businesses. And I don't really consider my consultation work, because I do it only for the Black community and Black advancement. So let's see. Start investing this year. How do I know what to invest in if this is my first time? Okay, so the question is, I'm looking to start investing this year. How do I know what to invest in if this is my first time? First, you have to, I would sit with me and talk and find out what your actual investing budget is, how much you can afford to invest. Like, honestly, like some people will be like, oh, I can invest $500. But then when I do your budget and your expenses, you're actually negative every month $100, because you're not paying something or you're stalling something outside of your pay structure. So first, you need to figure out if you can afford to invest. Second, I would never tell anybody to just invest by themselves. I would say sit with a consultant like me and actually make sure somebody's working to get you money, or join an investment club. And the reason why is, if you join an investment club, you don't have to put $2,000 to $5,000 to $10,000 down to make $1,000 to $200 a month. You only have to put in $100 to $200 and collectively work towards goals that purchase more money. Like I was saying, 50 people can get $50,000. It's all you guys having $1,000, and then that $50,000 can buy a house to somebody that's in the group. So somebody in the group can buy a $150,000 house. Now the group made $150,000 profit. That could take a week. It's not something that takes a long period of time, especially if the buy-in for your group is $1,000. So as soon as you guys have the numbers, you've already made $100,000. You didn't take any risk. You didn't have anything. You already found the house for the profit, and you just sold it. That's it. Ready to go. So I see a lot more questions. If anything comes up, because the feed is getting a little bit longer, we got about 2 minutes. So I'm going to answer one last question, and then I'm going to go from there. How do you get started? And this is the most important one. If you watch this video, you watch this feed, if Facebook lets me keep it up, because I did release a lot of information, go to my inbox, comment on the videos, and we'll respond back to anybody. And if you're interested, go to our investment plan, which is for the Black community. It's the blackeconomicsystem.com. My email and contact information is there. That's just blackeconomicsystem.com. If you guys need to email me, my email is the same, blackeconomicsystem@gmail.com, and I'll call you back within 72 to 48 hours. So this is your brother, Chief Infame. I'm going to start doing this all the time until Facebook kicks me off, and we're going to try and get some millions running through this community, because I can't wait for you guys to help us anymore. I just got to go make you guys some money. So let's do that. So respect, power to the people. Power to our people, respect our people, and I am going to go through the comments and answer everybody's questions directly. So, respect.